Hello everyone, welcome to my Wave 3 discussion video. Today we are going to be discussing everything about Wave 3, some good stuff, some bad stuff, and then I'm also going to rank all of the Wave 3 tracks. This was probably the best wave any of the Boost Course Pass. I loved it, all the courses are really good, I have a lot of nostalgia for a few of them. And I can't wait to jump into this. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe. I really want more attention on my alt channel for some less professional content that I'm not going to put too much time into. If these videos do well, then after the Booster Course Pass finishes, I'm planning on making a ranking of every track in the game with Booster Course Pass and the main tracks, and that will probably go on my main channel. I'm going to put time into that video. Usually I make these videos scripted, but they don't really get a lot of views, so this time I'm just going to make it a short discussion video. Hopefully the music's not too loud, I'm probably going to lower it a tiny bit. We're gonna start this discussion. First I'm going to start with some of the good stuff about Wave 3. And right off the bat, the quality of this wave already looks a lot better. It looks questionable in some areas, I'll talk about that a little bit later, but like courses where it's not like the daytime, I mean London Loop, what you're seeing on screen right now, it doesn't look horrible, but there can still be some improvement made there. But like courses that like are in pretty much any other setting just look really, really nice now. Like Rainbow Road, honestly one of the best visuals of a course in the game, which is just crazy because it's in the Booster Course Pass. I also really liked Boo Lake, how that looked. That one actually looks really good. It's crazy. What's another one that looks good? Maple Treeway looks alright. The grass in some of the sections is a little bit weird, but thankfully there's not a lot of it. So for the most part, Maple Treeway looks great. Definitely the best Maple Treeway's ever looked. The quality just looks significantly better in Wave 3. Really impressed with the upgrade from Waves 1 and 2. Wave 1 especially was just, the quality in that was not good, but they have been improving it a good bit recently, so I hope that this continues each wave. Maybe by Wave 6 we'll have base game visuals. I don't know if they can actually get to that point. I mean, with Rainbow Road though, and maybe even Boo Lake, they're definitely pretty much at that point already, so I'm looking forward to seeing if they keep improving the quality, as I'm sure they will. Another really cool thing about Wave 3 is there was a lot of anti-gravity in this wave. Wave 1 we didn't get any anti-gravity, and Wave 2 we only got anti-gravity on Sky High Sunday. So it's really nice seeing the return of anti-gravity. If anyone watched my Wave 1 review video, you'll know that those are pretty much my two biggest complaints about the Booster Course Pass originally, is the lack of anti-gravity and the lack of quality. And the quality's been improved just tremendously, so that's a much smaller complaint now. And the anti-gravity looks like it's all back, because we got anti-gravity in several of these new courses. We got it, in Boo Lake, we got it in Rock Mountain, we got it in Maple Treeway, I believe, Merry Mountain, 3DS Rainbow Road, and I think that's it. But that's a pretty good amount of anti-gravity, so I'm very happy with that. We also got a lot of water, or not a lot of water, but we got some more water in Boo Lake, which I don't know if we actually have any water sections in the previous courses. And then we also got some gliding in Rock Mountain, so it's nice to see all the newer Mario Kart features. I mean, those two are from 7. All the newer Mario Kart features be in it a little bit more. Gliding's in every course in the game, so that's not very surprising. But the water and the anti-gravity is nice to see more of. And also, half pipes made their debut in the game in this wave in Maple Treeway and in Merry Mountain especially. So those were really cool to see. They are apparently a little bit weird. I wouldn't really know. I never played Mario Kart Wii, which is probably one of the worst things I can say on the internet. Apparently half pipes are a little weird. I think they work fine, but I'm sure they work better in Mario Kart Wii. They do feel a little bit weird, even though I never used one before. But it's really nice just to see their inclusion in general. It's really nice that Nintendo isn't scared to include these newer things, and it also makes me excited for the chances of DK Summit being added to the Boost Course Pass, especially since it has been in Tour, so it definitely has a really good chance. Next, pretty good thing is, to no one's surprise, the music remains to be really, really good. I love that they got the Mario Kart band to come back for the Boost Course Pass, and they did a really good job with this music. Maple Treeway is really good music, probably the best part of the track for me. And then, of course, 3DS Rainbow Road, that's my favorite Mario Kart music of all time, so hearing that was amazing. A lot of people really like Berlin Byways. I think it's decent. And yeah, all the other music is really good too. 3DS Rainbow Road and Maple Treeway really stood out to me, though. They're some of the best music in the entire franchise, let alone the game. But yeah, so we also got some good course changes, like Peach Gardens going backwards. Yeah, that's all I can think of. But I mean, I liked pretty much most of the changes they made to these courses. There's not too much that I think they did wrong. I like the variety of courses and the variety of games. We got some 3DS tracks. I think we only got like 1 or 2 3DS tracks before this wave. And then we got Toad Circuit. I'm not sure if we got another one. But yeah, we got 2 in this wave, 3DS Rainbow Road and what was the other one? It was 3DS Rock Mountain. So it's really nice to see that, and the variety of courses is nice too. We got a fall themed track with Maple Treeway. We got Boo Lake, so another haunted track, which was very, very necessary in this game. Not sure if we'll get another Luigi's Mansion now, but fingers crossed, because I don't really... Well, I'm not sure. I think most Luigi's Mansions are good in the series, so I'm sure fans would like to see one of those return. I'm not sure if we will, though, since we already got a second haunted course, but I mean, Boo Lake's pretty good, so I'll take it. One thing that I really did like about this, because I am not really good at this game, so I'm not the biggest fan of 200cc. I like that it is included in the game, don't get me wrong. When I say I'm not the biggest fan, I just mean I'm bad at it. This wave, for some reason, for whatever reason, maybe I just did more 200cc, but a lot of the courses, I feel like, aren't like insanely hard in 200cc, but still provide a good challenge. Like, a lot of the courses in this wave feel fun for me in 150 and 200, despite not being the greatest at this game. So that's really nice to see that, you know, for some courses, 200cc can be enjoyed by skilled players and unskilled players. 3DS Rainbow Road is probably my favorite course in the game now for 200cc. Sorry for like when the screen randomly goes away. I'm not sure why that happens. But yeah, I'm really happy to see that. All the courses are really well remade. But yeah. As for the other stuff they did, the lightning while you're gliding, I really like that change. I think it's really fitting that they added it in right when they put Rock Mountain in, because I know if they did not add that in, it would be hella painful getting struck by lightning when you're gliding down. I honestly heard people like complain about that before the Wave 3 even came out, so it's really cool that they changed that, because I do think that is one of the more frustrating things in the game that really doesn't need to be a feature. I'm not really sure. I assume it slows you down while you're gliding. I haven't really looked into it too much, but I mean, if you're gliding and now you get struck by lightning, that might be like a good thing, to be honest, because if you still kind of glide somewhat fast, that could be cool. But yeah, the custom items, that's the final thing in the good stuff. Custom items is just such a cool thing to have, you know. When you're playing with blue shells only, it just seems like it would be a mod. It does not seem real, it doesn't feel official, and that's what's great about it, because Nintendo is not usually the type of company who would just add in an all blue shells mode. So I think it's really cool that they like let you do any amount of items, you know. If I heard custom items were being added, I would originally think like Nintendo's definitely going to make you like have to have the mushroom be an item, have to have certain things be an item, just so you can't do like blue shells only. But they just let you, and it's so cool. They let you do Crazy 8 only, Bullet Bill only. It's so cool to see. I really like that they added custom items. It's just really nice being able to get rid of the coin, or getting rid of the items you don't like, or just fooling around and doing blue shells only or whatever. But yeah, now we're going to move on to a couple of the criticism I have for this wave. There's really not much compared to the other two waves, especially the first wave. I had a lot of criticism about the quality and the lack of anti-gravity and stuff. This wave, there's not too much. I will say one downgrade over wave 2 was that there wasn't like too many cool shortcuts. There was a good amount of off-road shortcuts in a lot of courses, but for the most part there wasn't really any good shortcuts. And what they did to a few of the tracks, especially 3DS Rainbow Road for the shortcuts, is really upsetting, because some of the shortcuts in the older games were a lot cooler, and it would have been nice to see a few of them stay in, kind of like how Gap Jump stayed in Mushroom Gorge. But yeah, Lakitu is a little bit annoying in this wave, but I mean, there's still some good shortcuts, especially off-road shortcuts, so I'm not going to complain too much. It's just not like the type of tracks that would have crazy shortcuts. I mean, last time we had Mushroom Gorge, we had a full anti-gravity course, which had like one 200cc shortcut. We had Snowland, like we had some really good tracks for shortcuts last time. And I mean, there's still a chance a lot of cool shortcuts will be found for this wave. The only other bad thing is that I mentioned this earlier, but the quality in some of the daytime tracks still looks a little bit questionable. In particular, a lot of the time whenever the grass shows up on the screen, it looks a little bit weird. I really do hope that they fix like the daytime courses looks, but I will say the courses that are like in the nighttime or in pretty much any setting where it's not a bright blue sky and a lot of grass, the courses just look amazing. I wish the grass looked a little bit better in a lot of these courses, but hey, I can't complain. But yeah, moving on to the course ranking, because I just realized it's already been 12 minutes. So I'm just going to kind of go through this a little bit quickly. At number 8, also I do want to say, I like all of these tracks. This wave doesn't have a super weak track like the other tracks. Number 7 and 8 kind of went back and forth a lot for me. Most of the other tracks I'm pretty comfortable with my ranking. But yeah, let's jump into it. At number 8, I have Mario Kart Tour's London Loop. This is a really long track. It doesn't have a lot of creativity to it. It doesn't have a lot of the Mario Kart features. There's no glider sections, no anti-gravity, no water, just not really anything. There are some good off-road shortcuts, which I do appreciate, and I also think that it is one of those courses that plays very well in 150cc and 200cc. It's not too hard in 200cc, it's not too, well, it is too easy in both, but it's not like insanely slow pace in 150cc, although it is a very long track with not too much going on. I wish that it had a little bit more like just going on in the track. The music's a little bit weird too. I feel like that's not really what I think of when I think of London, but it's fine. I do kind of like the route for it, but I got lost a lot. I definitely think that this wave had the weakest city tracks of all three. The visuals actually looked pretty decent in London Loop. Again, there was a lot of grass, but compared to most daytime tracks, this one had one of the better visuals, and the gameplay was pretty fun. But I mean, for the most part, it's just kind of a long track. There's not a whole lot going on, which even though I think it might objectively be a better track than number 7, I just think that it's a little bit too boring and there's not as much going on, so I can't really put it higher. Number 7, Mario Kart Tour Berlin Byways. A lot of people really like this track, a lot of people really hate it. It's kind of back and forth. It's kind of divided, I feel like, on this one. The music is pretty good. It's not as good as a lot of people say, I feel like, but it is really good. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit weird, by the way. There are a lot of stuff going on in this track. The gameplay is interesting. I did find myself having a lot of more fun time trialing this than London Loop. And there are a good amount of shortcuts. Again, some of them feel weird, and the route of this course feels a little bit weird. The length, again, also feels very long. It doesn't feel quite as long as London Loop just because you're actually doing stuff, but I found myself not enjoying this track as much as I could have. It does play kind of well in 150 and 200cc. 200 feels a little bit hard, but it's a nice challenge, I guess. It's just a really weird track, I feel like. But there's a lot more going on than London Loop, so I'll give it that credit. The visuals aren't that great either, but I think it's better than London Loop, so it's number 7 for me. But yeah, number 6. This was originally my number 8, but I think objectively it just beats the last two. Number 6, I'm going to have to do GBA Boo Lake. And don't get me wrong, I really like this track. I just think it has a bit of missed potential. I think it could have had some really cool routes, some really cool shortcuts. Could have been a little bit more creative, maybe a bit longer. It also has some pretty sharp turns. It doesn't play great in 200, but I mean, it still plays really well. I think it's one of those tracks where once you master it in 200, it's probably really satisfying. So I'm not going to hold the 200 being a little bit hard against this course. I think overall, it's just like, it doesn't have a whole lot going on, but objectively it is a really good course. I don't think there's a single bad GBA course in this game. Some people would argue Sky Garden. I really like Sky Garden personally. Probably a tiny bit more than Boo Lake. But only just because I like the layout more and because it has a couple more shortcuts. But I mean, overall, Boo Lake is great. It has the water section. It has anti-gravity, which I was not expecting in this type of course. I was really pleasantly surprised to see that in the reveal trailer. It has really nice visuals. It's probably maybe behind 3DS Rainbow Road. It might be the best looking track in the wave. Maybe even in the booster course pass behind 3DS Rainbow Road. So that is a really pleasant surprise, considering this is one of the simpler, older courses. Especially when you compare it to stuff like Sky Garden or Mario Circuit 3. Like, this one looks amazing. The gameplay is pretty fun. The turns can be very fun, especially when you master them, like I said earlier. The music is really fitting. It's not something I'd really listen to outside of the course, but it really works for the course. It does have that one really nice shortcut, which does have some difficulty, which I appreciate. The layout is good. It's somewhat creative. It's a little bit shorter than my liking, but I still like that it's not super long like the last two. But yeah, number 5 is going to be Merry Mountain. When I saw this course in Mario Kart Tour, I always wanted it coming to a mainline Mario Kart. It looked really fun to me. I'm not really sure why, but I just really liked the theme of it. It's a very creative course. The whole mountain Christmas theme I really like to see. You don't get a lot of pure Christmas themed Mario tracks. This is probably the most Christmassy track. And I mean, obviously it's not, like, nothing about it is screaming Christmas, but I mean, you have the sleigh, you have like the whole, it just feels like a Christmas course, and it obviously works perfectly for Wave 3. I'm also happy they ended the cup on Rainbow Road, not this, just because it's Rainbow Road. But I mean, if Rainbow Road wasn't in the cup, this would probably end it, and that'd be completely fine. This just feels like a really epic course. I like the music. It's a perfect length. There isn't a whole lot of shortcuts, but I mean, there's still some pretty interesting shortcuts that you can take. Only like 1 or 2 though. The gameplay is pretty fun. I wish the ending descend down the mountain was a little bit less boring. There's not really a whole lot going on there. It works for 200cc, but I mean, for 150 and even for 200 sometimes, like, I feel like there could just be more going on when you're going down the mountain. It should be like something really cool, because it's like the end of the track, but it's kind of the weakest part. The route in general is a little bit boring. It's just a big oval. There's not a whole lot going on there, but I mean, the visuals for this look great. The features are cool. I like seeing the half pipes, like all the different tricks. There's all sorts of stuff going on, and yeah, it works really well in 150cc and 200cc. So yeah, I just love to see it. And then number 4, we have 3DS Rock Mountain. This is an interesting one. I really didn't think I would like this as much as I did, but I'm happy that I did enjoy it. The visuals are definitely the weakest point for me. It doesn't really look like a really great course visually, especially since, like, when you get off the gliding section, it should really look beautiful, you know? But unfortunately it doesn't, just because it looks really cartoony. But I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The gameplay can be a little bit boring, just because the gliding in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just doesn't feel very satisfying. I mean, even when you're doing motion gliding, it doesn't. And the fastest strat in Rock Mountain, for most of it, is just not to do motion gliding. So, not too much exciting going on with the gliding. 150cc definitely feels a bit slow for the course too. But as for the good stuff, the course plays pretty well in 150 and 200. Apart from it being a little bit too slow in 150. I think that is really cool how we see anti-gravity at the end. That really works. It helps the items just like actually like work more instead of just stopping in the middle of the road, like right in front of you. The visuals, like I said, were kind of bad, but the shortcuts are kind of cool. There's a good amount of shortcuts in this. One of the stronger ones, kind of like Shroom Ridge's amount of shortcuts. It has a good length. It's a pretty creative track, you know. You don't get this much gliding in most Mario Kart tracks, so it's nice to see. Obviously, this being from Mario Kart 7, which debuted the gliding. The music in the course is pretty decent. The layout's pretty decent. You go through all sorts of places in a pretty quick amount of time. And of course, I have a little bit of nostalgia for this course, as Mario Kart 7 was my first Mario Kart game, and I kind of remember this course a tiny bit. As for the top 3 was pretty easy for me. I know a lot of people put this lower than number 3, and some people put it higher than number 3. I think it's an easy number 3 for me. Wii Maple Treeway. First of all, I have nostalgia from this from Mario Kart 7, of course. I didn't have Mario Kart Wii, as I said earlier. The visuals are pretty good. Features are pretty good. I like the half pipe. I like the anti-gravity from the half pipe. The shortcuts, there are a fair amount. This course plays pretty well in 150 and 200. 200, it requires a lot of brake drifting, but it's like not so much that it's like really annoying. I thought it'd be more annoying in 200, but it really isn't. It's just a bit challenging, and I like to see that. The gameplay is pretty good. The layout of the course is good. It's obviously one of the most creative tracks in the franchise. You don't get a lot of tracks where you're driving around trees in the nice fall season. The music, like I said earlier, one of the best in the game and in the series. The visuals do look a little bit weird in some parts. I do think the gameplay could be a tiny bit better. My main problem is that it's a little bit too long for my liking. I'm not really sure how they could have fixed that. I don't really know if they could have. Maybe they could have made the gliding cannon a tiny bit shorter, because that is a very long gliding cannon. But I mean, overall, it's a really good track. The only reason that's third is because the other two I like more. Number 2, we have DS Peach Gardens. I love the route on this track. The fact that they make you go backwards on the third lap was a pleasant surprise for everyone. I never played Peach Gardens before. I wasn't looking forward to it too much after seeing it in the Nintendo Direct in September, but it was a very pleasant surprise because the gameplay in it works really well. There's a lot of good shortcuts. It plays very nicely in 150 and 200cc. It is very creative. It has a pretty good length. I think the ending lap could have been a tiny bit shorter, but that's not really a complaint. It's just like a little nitpick, I guess. I do wish there was like a little bit of a cooler shortcut overall, because all the shortcuts are off-road, and I feel like this could have had potential for like some cool shortcut, maybe off a glider or something. But I mean, that's also just a nitpick. The visuals are probably the worst thing about this track for me. It doesn't look horrible. It looked a lot worse in the September track, probably because they were still making the track. But yeah, I do think the visuals could have been a lot stronger. yeah, I think that the music is pretty good. It's not like anything I'd listen to outside of Mario Kart, but it fits the course perfectly. And yeah, I just really like the US Peach Gardens. It's really nice to see. Love everything they did with it. Visuals, if they were a tiny bit better, then this would have remained second place, because first place is just so good. But this would have probably been... I would have liked this a little bit more if the visuals were a tiny bit better. But for the most part, I mean, this is easily second best in the wave for me. And finally, for number 1, 3DS Rainbow Road. Now, after Waluigi Pinball in Wave 2, I was scared that they were going to mess this track up and not make it as fun as I remember, because 3DS Rainbow Road is easily the track I had the most nostalgia for of any track in the Mario Kart franchise. Mario Kart 7, first Mario Kart game for me. It's so good. I really love 3DS Rainbow Road. I have so much fond memories. I've been saying this ever since, like, before this video. This is the last time I'm probably going to be saying it. But, I mean, when I was 10 and you could drive on the moon, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So 3DS Rainbow Road is just, it's so cool. I love seeing it. I could not stop smiling when I played this course for the first time, like, seriously. This course plays really well in 150 and 200. It doesn't feel too slow in 150. It doesn't feel too fast in 200. I said this earlier. It's my favorite track for 200cc. It's not easy in 200cc by any means. There's some brake drifting. I don't know if any brake drifting is actually required if you do it perfectly. I usually brake drift in 1 or 2 areas, but I really like the 200cc for this course. Probably more than the 150, and that is not common for me to say about a course that I enjoy. The music, as you're hearing now, my favorite in the series. I think it's a really good music. I love N64 Rainbow Road, and then when I heard this music, I loved it even more than N64 Rainbow Road. Obviously I heard this music before the boost course passed, but like in general, I just love everything they do with the music in this track. The visuals are beautiful. This is easily the best visuals of the boost course pass, hands down. I love the way that this course looks in general. The route is really cool as usual. The one lap track, you go on the moon, you go into the little spinny thingy near the end. You have the whole ending section. It's really great. One of the most creative tracks in the franchise. So much nostalgia for it. Gameplay is amazing. It's the perfect length. I think it could have been a tiny bit longer, actually. I mean, I know that they weren't going to add an extra section to the track, but I kind of do wish it was a tiny bit longer, just because I love the track so much. But I mean, it's not really that bad of a length. The only really critique I have for this track is that they took away a lot of the shortcuts from 3DS. I really wish there was a shortcut in this track. There's like a lot of potential for cool shortcuts in this track. I mean, never really did any of the shortcuts in the 3DS version, but I know about them, and I know that they're really cool, and it does kind of suck that there's no shortcuts in this track, because shortcuts are just really cool to see. It's one of my favorite parts of Mushroom Gorge, which is probably top 3, top 5 track in the game for me. So I really do wish that there were like just like 1 or 2 shortcuts in 3DS Rainbow Road that were like a really big shortcut that actually saves time. But I mean, everything else about this track is just so perfect that it still remains not only my favorite track in the wave or even the game, but it still remains my favorite track in the Mario Kart series, and I'm really happy that Nintendo didn't screw it up, because part of my brain was just telling me that the only reason it's my favorite track in the series is because of nostalgia. So I'm really happy that that was not the case, and that it really is an amazing track. I mean, I just can't, thinking about it, man, the visuals are just so good. I really like what they did with the rainbow texture. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video. Let me know if you guys watched my other wave reviews. Let me know if you like this style, where it's just a discussion video where I kind of go on this whole rant. I mean, I realize I've been talking for like half an hour here. Most of you guys are still probably not here. If you are here, comment down below your ranking of the Wave 3 tracks. I read every comment. on not only this channel but my main channel too. I usually heart every comment just to let you know that I read it if I don't respond to it. But yeah, feel free to have some conversations in the comments about what you guys think about the Boost Course Pass, what you would rank the courses. I really liked all the courses in this wave, even the ones that I ranked low, still really liked them. I don't think there's any bottom, all these courses are probably better than 1/3 of the other Boost Course Pass courses maybe. And yeah, I just really liked this wave. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now because I've been talking for a while. Let me know what you guys all think. Let me know if you like the scripted videos more or the discussion videos more. I'll probably just keep doing the discussion videos anyway. But yeah, Zachy and Veggie Show episode on this wave and some other stuff will probably come out hopefully before the end of the year. Maybe in January. I don't know when we're gonna get around to making another one. But yeah, thank you everyone so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all next time. Peace.